Today, I want to talk to you about something that's honestly pretty alarming if you live in Ocean County or just necessarily any place in New Jersey. And that's the financial crisis going on in the Toms River School District. And this isn't just another story about a school budget, but we're talking about one of the biggest school districts in all of New Jersey that houses roughly about 14,000 students. It's facing the possibility of bankruptcy, major tax implications, and state intervention. So, on today's video, we're going to cover everything that you need to know from the background of what's going on, how the Toms River School District is trying to stop it, and the state impeding on their progress. Before we get started, if it is your first time to the channel, my name is Stephen Cutchin, and I'm a realtor at Berkshire Hathaway. And on the Live in Central New Jersey channel, we cover everything related to the Central Jersey real estate market. So if you're the first one to know what's going on in Monmouth or Ocean County real estate, feel free to click the bell, hit the subscribe button. Let's get this video started. To start us off, I think it's important to talk about the history of everything going on. So over the past 8 years, Toms River Regional Schools have lost a combined $175 million in state aid due to something called the S2 funding formula. If you want more info on it, I've actually done a previous video on it. I'll link in the description. But essentially, long story short, this new change went back into New Jersey around in 2018. It basically just redistributed a bunch of school funding. So some districts gained money and some districts lost money. So for instance, Toms River, Brick, and other shore towns lost huge amounts, as we kind of just mentioned. So to cope, Toms River already cut over 250 staff members, reduced programs, and even sold off some property. But despite all of these measures that they've taken, they still are facing a $22 million shortfall for budget this year. But this is where it starts to get kind of, pretty intense because you can't just keep cutting staff jobs. Otherwise, the class size are going to balloon to the same as a college university, or the school at that point just won't exist, right? There's not going to be enough teachers and staff to be able to accommodate all the students. The other main thing that they were supposed to do is potentially raise taxes on homeowners in Ocean County, or obviously Toms River, by about 13%, which, if you're familiar with Ocean County and from checking out the channel in the past, Ocean County has lower property taxes than some other parts of New Jersey and just other counties, which makes it a pretty big draw to live here, possibly retire here. So that really wasn't an option for the district themselves. The other potential thing they want to do was look into possibly filing Chapter 9 bankruptcy, which is a municipal type of bankruptcy. And honestly, I really don't blame them for looking into this option because they've been backed into years and years of lost state funding, and they argue that the bankruptcy might be the only way to restructure their obligations without crushing local taxpayers. And we live here in New Jersey. Our state taxes or property taxes are already pretty high. So just adding to this is just going to make people's cost of living get a little bit more increased. And that's not what Toms River is really looking to do, especially as a school district and just the town itself. But here's where things took a pretty big turn. The New Jersey Department of Education stepped in, and basically they said that they have a legal obligation to make sure that public schools stay open and they stay funded. Completely understand it. That is definitely their job to do. But they also called that Toms River's refusal to pass a tax increase a troubling pattern of governance problems, meaning that they believe that the Toms River School Board has a history of doing what's not fiscally responsible for the school district themselves. Kind of hard to believe there with the decrease in funding they've been having, but regardless. So the state actually imposed their power to force the 13% tax increase to go through and not allow the bankruptcy to be filed at all. So, and it's hard to really blame Toms River for being mad or upset about this because they just watched a neighboring town in Lakewood get emergency funding when they are even farther in debt than Toms River is. Now, what does that mean for all the taxpayers and their families? So if you are a homeowner in Toms River, your taxes are going to be increased roughly about probably 500 years. So about maybe, or 500 for the year. So about maybe $40 extra a month. So it's affordable. Yes, it's definitely not the end of the world, but there's also no guarantee that it doesn't keep rising if the underlying funding formula doesn't change. So this is just basically a 1-year fix. And it doesn't mean the district, or it does mean that the district can't restructure all their debts through bankruptcy. So we can be in a constant cycle of tax increases, program cuts, scrambling to balance the books on time, really a little bit more of a mess of a situation than anything else. This could cause potentially young families to not want to move into Toms River, which would make their homes harder to sell and potentially impact home prices. Now, that might be a pretty much drastic situation that I'm kind of throwing out there, but there is a potential for that outcome if things don't get turned around soon at the same time. So it really puts a Toms River School Board in a pretty big pickle. Just my own personal take on it, I'll be honest, it's a tough watch for Toms River School District and their families because the district itself is just getting backed into a corner, and they have two scenarios. It's devastating cuts to the school district or giant increases on taxes for the residents here in the area. So personally, I think it's a pretty big wake-up call and a sign for the state to revisit how they are funding public education and the funding formula itself, because right now it feels that the homeowners in Toms River are left to clean up a mess that they didn't create, which obviously isn't fair at the same time either. So I'm not saying it's an easy solution, but it's definitely one that has to get figured out soon. And because Toms River isn't the only school that's seeing this. I've already mentioned that Brick's seen loss in funding. Jackson's getting hammered. Other parts in just Monmouth County at the same way. So it doesn't seem like it is worth moving to some of these areas if this is going to be an ongoing debate. Essentially, that's the latest on what's going on here in Toms River. It's a tough situation, but it's also something that you will want to consider whether you are making a move, buying or selling here in the Ocean County and Toms River area. So if that does sound like you, that you are making a move, feel free to reach out. All my contact information is down low in the comments and description. So whether you are 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, even a year out, doesn't matter to me. Let's just get you on the right path towards your real estate goals. If you're thinking about moving to a different part of the Central Jersey area, check out the 2 videos popping up and hopefully they help you out a little bit too. Have a great day.